I think the big issue for corporate Britain at the moment is confidence. I think there needs to be, somehow or other, we've got to change the mood music that exists around business. So inspiring confidence in business I think is really important. A lot of businesses are in good shape in my view. I think if you look back 3 or 4 years when we had the recession, I think businesses sorted themselves out, they cut cost, put themselves in good shape. So I think businesses are in good shape, but they're just wanting now some confidence so they can start to invest for the future. I think part of it is the press. I mean, the press are obviously on the bandwagon in terms of you know, things are sort of doom and gloom. I think that's part of it. I think the other part is businessmen talking about being confident about the future and innovation and what they're doing. And I think part of it is to do with government. To be fair to the government, I think they have been trying to avoid this sort of mood of doom and gloom. And part of inspiring confidence, I think, is making it easier for people to employ people within their business. So anything that the government can do around making it easier to employ people, easier to invest in businesses will help, and anything they can do around infrastructure, for example, could be helpful. I know they've got to balance the books, but infrastructure investment creates jobs, it creates demand, and it stimulates the economy basically.
The one thing above all else that we think will stimulate growth in the UK is confidence, but confidence is something that is the product of other drivers. You have to have other inputs that result in the confidence, because basically there is not a great deal of confidence out there. So what we're trying to do and what our clients are trying to do in their different sectors is to find new ways of approaching the marketplace so that we and they can find new routes in and new ways of serving their clients and serving their customers. Now that's about customer relations, it's about cost models, it's about innovation. The way to serve clients and customers in the future is never the way that clients and customers were served in the past. The world has moved on, technology has changed, the expectations of clients, the expectations of teams of people who are employed in businesses, they've all changed, and so new solutions are necessary.
We have worked with Oxford Economics to produce a report which summarises, if you like, 4 or 5 scenarios in very clear language, against which then we take clients through a structured approach against what could happen in the future and what they could therefore look for in terms of high probability, high impact events. Those scenarios, there's nothing peculiar or rocket science about them. You know, the baseline is, in effect, we'd expect a slowdown in the economy, possibly a technical recession across Europe over a relatively short period of time, but that the work of politicians and others across Europe will lead to a resolution of the current sovereign debt issues over a period of time. You know, and then growth would start to come back, albeit at relatively low levels in 13 and 14 and so on. At either end of the spectrum, there are sort of unlikely but worth thinking about events, just so that our clients can sort of pick up the low probability but such high impact you really ought to think about at events. One of those is on the downside, where and everyone can come up with their own Armageddon sort of scenario, I think, from reading newspapers. The other one is actually an upside scenario, which is that things like the pickup in the American economy, soft landing in China, you know, opportunities for export and various other things, all those lead to a kind of a sharper upturn in growth than we currently expect. But as I say, those 2 outliers are relatively low probability.